All right, everyone, welcome to the Node Working Group session today. We'll start off with a preamble, and then we'll move on to our agenda. The Node Working Group preamble. The Node Working Group sessions are a time when members come together to discuss and collaborate with ecosystem partners and the Mina Foundation. Topics generally discussed include the latest releases, node operations, and other technical matters related to the protocol, although this is at the discretion of the Node Working Group. So hello everyone, welcome. My name is John Robinson. I'm the Community Operations Manager at the Mina Foundation, and I'm here to support and facilitate these sessions. So please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. If anyone has any questions, please use the button down the bottom and raise your hand and we can bring them up. If you add your questions to the agenda, it will be a very big help to Regina, who's kindly offered to take notes for us today. So what we'll do, I'll share my screen here. We'll get up the agenda. And first off, I'd like to introduce our ecosystem partner, O1 Labs, Andrew.
Yes, hello everyone. I'd like to just give some updates about the 1.3.0 release, which is we're working on stabilizing now, and we've been in the beta phase for a week and change, a couple weeks. There is a new 1.3.0 beta 4 that was just tagged, and we'll have release notes coming very soon and an announcement to go with it. That includes a couple more optimizations that we discovered recently, performance optimizations that we're very excited about and we want to get included, as well as a couple updates to the Docker entry point script just to bring it up and in line with what we're doing in Debian packages and other things like that. Yes, and I would love to hear any results that people have had with beta 2 over the last however long it's been. There hasn't been a super wide release, but I think everything we've heard so far is great news. So we're looking to, yeah, like I said, get an even better version of that out into your hands and tested and hopefully graduated to stable as soon as we can.
Thanks a lot for that, Andrew. Does anyone have any questions or feedback for Andrew on the release? I know it was really running smoothly for me and had pretty good uptime, and I was running it on my server and also on Node at home and that, and they were both really smooth. Does anyone else have any feedback?
So I only came across the transaction disappearing, but it's not concrete, and I'm not sure what happened last epoch. So it just happened while the transactions will process like 1,200 something transaction, and it was never an issue before. So we were very confident of the existing system, and somehow they disappear from the mempool.
Okay, that's worth noting. We're not sure. I think in our early investigations, we're not sure that this is new. It's just potentially that you're observing it now, or that your situation is running into whatever the bug is or has been. Because we have some older logs and reports of other things on other versions doing the same. But at the same time, I will say I think there's. Yeah. Yeah, never mind. Like I said, I think we're not really sure where that comes from, but we're investigating it further and looking for it, because I know that affects a lot of the larger staking pools and anybody who has masses of transactions to send every epoch.
Yeah, I think since first the rebroadcasting feature came to the release, we never faced any issue for some reason. It was working very well. So that was first time happening to us.
That's very useful feedback. Thank you.
So Ivan has commented in the chat here. He says, running well here, but have not seen much of a difference in comparison with Alpha 1 in terms of stability. And he also added, what I have noticed is that the latest release is able to get more canonical blocks into the chain, but this was already mentioned a couple of versions ago. So stability is the same for him, and the performance in terms of the block producer is better.
Yeah, that's good news. And also, I think part of the problem that we were running into with Alpha 1 and that sort of era of releases, 1.2.2 had some of the same problems, is that we had bugs that were where the node was appearing stable, but was actually, further behind the pack than your block producer is able to be, and in order to be profitable, in order to, successfully produce blocks or do anything else. So yeah, I think we've addressed quite a lot of those bugs now, and these versions are much, much better. It just, you see a new block, basically 2 seconds, you can add it into your transition frontier and start using it, and then your block producer is in, therefore, a much, much better position to just get their block out into the world and have it be correct.
Thanks, Andrew. Does anyone else have any feedback or questions about the new release? All right, if that's the case, then we'll move along on the next item on our agenda. And next up, we have Prithvi, our ecosystem partner, O1 Labs technical product manager. Prithvi?
Hey, thanks for the intro, John. Regina, would you mind sharing the GitHub project?
Yeah, I'll do.
And then I can kind of talk about it as you take notes on the other tab or something.
Actually, I think that's John. John is the one sharing screen.
Oh, John is the one sharing. Okay, yeah.
Would
John,
you like to?
Can you present the project itself?
Yeah.
Instead of this document?
Yeah, I'll bring that up now. Here we go.
Okay, thank you. Right, so this is just a triage board. Basically, my aim is to collect various issues that either the Node working group or other community members have raised, or even things that the internal team has flagged or are working on, and use this as a medium to kind of communicate the status of different issues, and where we are in resolving them. And so what I'll do right now is kind of just, since this is going to be our first time discussing this through this GitHub project medium, I'm just going to go over the issues one by one, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Now, one thing that I would definitely suggest is that even though some of them might be old, rather than discussing them at length here today, I would say to keep a single source of truth, we also make sure that we discuss them in the issue itself, so that we have a proper history for these things. So I'll just go one by one. I think the first one that we see here has been raised a few days ago, I think like 5 or 6 days ago in beta 1, that a node is being restarted quite often. We haven't started investigating this yet, so there's not really anything to communicate on this one. Similarly, for 10164, where it says node crashed at the same time that produced like a certain block. This is an old bug that we believe is fixed, but we actually don't know what version that person is running. And so we need that information. We need what version they're running to really be sure about this sort of thing. And so I've added a comment in that ticket asking the author to provide that information. And that's it for those two. And so the next one is number 9417. Generated blocks are not gossiped well enough to appear on the network. This is a quite old issue. It's raised by Emre, and I think you guys might be familiar with it, but just to summarize it quickly, the issue is that blocks are not produced and gossiped around the network in time. They kind of have the same root cause. There's this finite window in which blocks have to be produced and they have to be submitted to the network, but the daemon is kind of busy and other nodes in the network are also busy validating things, and it just doesn't end up being propagated quickly enough. The good news is it is related to the issue that you see on the second column, which is 10108, that is related to prioritized block production. And so once that lands, we should see some improvements with regards to this. Andrew mentioned at the very beginning of this call that there was also a lot of validation optimization work that we were doing that has, will likely go into the next beta release. So we can hope to see some improvements from that as well. One thing is there's an item that's on our roadmap for the networking team that we hope to address this in the long term. So main thing I want to stress for this issue is it requires a series of fixes. There's no easy cure for this sort of thing. And there are items in the roadmap that, we can communicate to you guys. But really it's dealing with like prioritization of different things. So yeah, that's it for 9417. Do you have any questions about that one, Embry? No, okay, I'll move on. 7020 out of memory error. So when I talked to the team, we believe this has been fixed in 1.2. But we need to follow up with Matthew, who had done some initial investigation on this. So once I talk to him, get an update from him with regards to this thing, I can hopefully come back to it and then close it if we're not seeing this on the latest releases. And if we do see it, we can more than happy to reopen it again. But we believe, we found the root cause and have fixed it. It's just something that's old and open for a while. Okay, so 8351. Single block producer creates multiple blocks in one slot. So when I talked to the team, the understanding was we think this is already fixed, but it's also quite rare, and we don't really have a great way to reproduce it. So the reason we think it's fixed, and we're very certain that it's fixed, is because we refactored the way that the block production loop works, and we have like an out of process way of doing that, and where previously it used to be an in process thing. So with the new logic, we believe we won't hit the bug in the old logic where there was a job that was being canceled and you had to reschedule it. So to summarize it, it's quite hard to reproduce and rare. The primary reason it's hard to repro is it's just a very rare race condition that's caused by specific network activity. And it's just a low percentage chance of hitting this sort of issue. So if you are seeing this issue consistently still, we do need to prioritize it more highly, but we're kind of confident that with the refactoring work that was done in the block production loop that we might not see this very much, if at all. And so, like I said, if you do see something with regard to this, make sure to flag it in the comment or in this forum here, and then we can put some more eyes on it.
For reproduction, it's just restarting a node on the lower right, health fitted. About the state of it, I'm not sure because I think a lot of block producers just split between various versions because of the versions not clear at all in general.
Can you repeat that last part? I don't think I understood what you meant.
I'm saying I think a lot of block producers just split between a lot of node versions because of the issues not being clear and some of them going backwards, etc. So I think when there's a significant update with everyone going forward with their version, I think this can clear more clearly maybe.
I see.
Because at the moment we are running like 1.1, 1.8, 2.2 and 2.3 or something like that. It's all around the place. Like I remember seeing it recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, but it might be all of that version. I can't be sure right now.
Andrew, do you have any thoughts on this? Is this something that you
Yeah.
can speak on?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a big part of why we're trying to hold 1.3.0 to such a high standard, is because we want to be able to say at the point when it's stable that really everyone should be running it everywhere. And I think that we're getting there, and it needs to be zero regressions. You know, it needs to not have any, it needs to not benefit anyone to go backwards into a previous release. And then we will get to the point where no one will do that. Until we can make sure that every release is better than the previous one, then then you all have your own prerogative to do that, you know, to downgrade. But I think we're making releases now at the point already of these 1.3 betas and very soon stable, that's the case, that it just is better than 1.2 and it just is better than 1.1.8, and you are, you know, economically incentivized to be upgrading to it because you will have a better time and a better experience. And then when hopefully more of the network will follow suit with that. And also important thing to point out here is that when we do hard fork, that will force everyone to upgrade, and we will have even more changes coming along with that you know, will create a new sort of checkpoint in the world where everyone must be running a version that we're confident in. But yeah, ideally we can get the vast majority of the network upgraded to 1.3 stable like very soon after release, because I think it will be deserving of that.
Cool. Thanks for that message, Andrew. So I guess moving on to maybe if you can scroll down a little bit, or no, sorry. This is in the high priority column. This is 10,024. This was raised pretty recently. This is actually a concerning issue, and we're investigating. We found a similar issue if you scroll all the way down, John, on the needs triage column. Yeah, node restarts after 30 minutes. This one was raised by George, and we're seeing this in 1.30 alpha 2, where a node was crashing steadily every 30 minutes. These two are concerning and require active investigation. So unfortunately, at this moment, I don't really have anything to update you with regards to a root cause analysis, but just know that it's on our radar, and we are going to definitely look at it. If you can scroll up for me just a little bit, John. 9983. This one also needs investigation. It was, I guess, 1.3 alpha 1 bug. Don't really have a RCA for this one just yet. 9874, which is the Mina daemon keeps crashing in Bootstrap. Right, so it looks like this one was raised for a pretty old version, 1.1.8, and it may not be as relevant as, there's been a significant number of changes and there was a lot of improvements in the 1.2 release. So we'll see if we see this in the new releases. If you guys see it as well, please flag it for us. But right now, we don't really have much confidence that this is going to be reproduced in the later releases. If you feel different, definitely let us know. But with that in mind, since it's for a much older release, we're probably going to move this to lower priority. And then lastly, there's one 9869 that's in the middle. This is more about the Rosetta, so I'm just going to skip this. I'll probably remove this from the board. It's not directly related to us. It's kind of more directly related to the Rosetta work that's being done. So going on to 8331, this is transactions removed from the mempool, and I think it's kind of similar to what Emery, you were alluding to earlier. So the main thing to communicate about this issue is there are two things being talked about that are unrelated. The first is there's gaps of transaction on mainnet, and there's a number of blocks that are back-to-back that may contain, not many transactions or 0 transactions. And the other one is that sometimes we evict things from the transaction pool mistakenly. I believe the second one is what Emery alluded to. So we have investigated the second issue where things are removed from the transaction pool by mistake. And there has been investigation and work done on that, but it actually, due to other competing priorities, it fell down our priority list. So what I'm going to do is follow up with the status of that. And because you mentioned this earlier in the call as well, you're going to try to prioritize it more. The first issue that I mentioned, which is kind of conflated in this and that GitHub issue, is the large gap of transactions. So we believe that is related to snark work gossip, which is 9097, the issue that's directly under that one. So when we're bootstrapping, we can't process snark work. So even though it gets gossiped to us and added to our local cache, there's a chance we just ignore the message and nobody will gossip it to us again until it expires. And so in that bootstrapping sequence, if a node doesn't have enough snark work, they can't produce a block with any transaction. So definitely 9097 is something we will actively prioritize to kind of address that issue. But as of today, we're not like actively working on it. So that's just the status of how things are. And I'll be coming back next week to kind of update you guys further. But if you have any questions right now, let me know. And like I mentioned, the best thing to do to keep a single source of truth would be to continue to discuss things in the GitHub issues as well, so we can have like a really nice, rich history in there, and we'll definitely know when things have been addressed. But that's all I had to discuss. If you guys have any questions, either I can take it, or if I don't know, I'll defer to Andrew.
Great. Thanks a lot for that, Prithvi. Really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions for Prithvi on this or Andrew? All right, great. Well, thanks for that. For anyone watching the recording of this, the recording will be posted on YouTube. We'll put a link to the GitHub here, and you guys can follow up there too if you like. All right, we can still have about 2-3 minutes left. Is there anything anyone would like to discuss or talk about? We've got all the stuff on the agenda so far. I'll change my screen over and we can have a look. There were a couple comments in the chat there. Emery, did you ask these already? Is that right?
Yeah, but I asked this already.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, if there's nothing else you'd like to talk about, what we can do, we'll finish off the call now. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. Thank you, Prithvi. Really appreciate that. We'll hang out for another couple of minutes here, and if you'd like to stay around for a chat, that's fine. So thanks a lot for coming, everybody, and you have a great week out there.
Thank you, everybody.